It's Monday, August 5th. I'm Adam Walsh, and this is The Signal. Today on the show, we're celebrating all things sports. It's an Olympics and Paralympics show. My amazing guests will chat about elite training, athletic aspirations, and trips down memory lane. Given my guest in studio, who you will hear from in just a minute, I should have probably said laps down memory lane, because it's we're going to be a heavy focus on swimming for a lot of the conversation today, but it's a broad conversation about the Olympics, Paralympics for a bunch of different sports, and this is where you come into it. Do you have a Olympic or Paralympic moment, whether it's from the games that you're watching now, right, with Paris, or from a previous one that really stands out to you? Text us 709-327-8206 or email us thesignal@cbc.ca. We're approaching the closing ceremony which is Sunday, August 11th, for Paris 2024, and then the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games will be held from the 28th of August to the 8th of September. So for the Olympics, I think the rough ballpark figure was 10,500 athletes. Paralympics, 4,400 athletes. So for this conversation today on training, sports, high-level competition, what it's all like, we've got Chris Roberts here, the coach for Memorial Seahawks, as well as with Mount Pearl. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for coming in.
Excellent.
So how many folks are you coaching anyways, if it's both with Mount Pearl and with the Seahawks?
I think I'm up around 40.
40, right?
Yeah.
What's that like?
Ooh. I think it's stressful at times.
Yeah.
But trying to give each athlete what they need is time consuming, and it's stressful. But we do the team thing and make sure that everybody has their time in the spotlight, and make sure that everybody is getting enough of what they need to succeed to their best.
There you go. And Chris Weeks, swimmer, student. What's your coach like?
I think he's very good at what he does, and brings a lot of energy on deck, and really just wants the best for all of his swimmers.
Excellent. Well, it's a good thing to have for a coach, right? And also here with us, we've got Paula Kelly, who's a legendary local swimmer. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Well, I guess we'll start with, I think you're all watching the Olympics now, right?
For sure.
Yeah, I know. Well, Amanda Gear called you, was trying to line you up for the show last week. You're like, I'm watching swimming. And she's like, I'll go to phone her later. What's been the standout for you so far for some of the Olympic moments that you've been watching?
Well, every time the Olympics roll around, there's always excitement in the air. I just love to watch the swimming. And swimming this year has been Summer McIntosh, of course. Yeah. And some of the men, Josh Leando, and his name escapes me now, but he won the bronze medal for the 200 fly. And I think he came second in the 100
Yuri
fly.
Carew.
Right, yes, thanks. So, Canada is really doing well in swimming in the Olympics.
Remind folks about your swimming records and when you first came on the scene.
It's funny you asked me that question, because I've just come across some historical documents that kind of started off my swimming career. So I started many years ago, back in 1972, in a 20-yard pool at Wedgwood Park.
And, a 20-yard pool?
Yes, 20 yards. And, I think I was 8 or 9, I can't remember exactly, but my first swim meet, was 100 IM yards, and I did my butterfly and thought that was it, and was ready to get out of the pool, and they said, no, keep going, you still have 3 more lengths left. But my swimming career has taken off since then. But I still have some records, provincial records, that still stand. They're probably about 40-odd years old. I competed in the Canada Games back in 1977 here at the Ack Arena.
Back when it was brand new.
Yes.
So
brand new. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was 12 at that point, and again, the youngest member on that team. And then from the Canada Games, it went on to international competition, and then 1980 was named to the Olympic team. But due to some political issues in the world at the time, it was the height of the Cold War, and the Russians had invaded Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And the Olympics were due to be held in Moscow. So pretty soon after that all happened, President Jimmy Carter said, that's it, America's not going to the Olympics. And then Canada followed, and a lot of the other Western countries followed suit.
Yeah, because it was back-to-back boycotts then, right? Because it was Moscow 80 and then LA was 84.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get over that kind of it must have been awfully exciting at the time, and then to have a geopolitical thing get in the way of that must have been hard.
Yes. From what I can remember, I mean, I was 15 at the time.
Yeah, teenager, so
that was, a while ago. But the boycott was announced prior to our Olympic trials. And so the Olympic trials then still went ahead, and they named the team. And, I was young. I kind of just dove in the pool and swam and won. And it was like, wow, where did this little kid come from? Because you could hear, I'm pretty sure the CBC probably still has some old footage of that race, but you can hear the commentators kind of scrambling through their papers like, who's this kid? Where is she from? Who is her coach?
That's amazing.
Yeah. And anyway, so I did qualify for then. And every time, like I say, when the Olympics roll around, I'm always questioning, like, what could I have done if, I did actually go?
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer in things happen for a reason. And, for some reason, there might have been a reason why we didn't get to go there.
Totally.
Yeah.
And, it's all part of it. The life story of everything, to have been involved with all that is a really neat thing still, because it's like a time, place, history, and to talk about all of it is interesting.
Yeah,
obviously.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
How's swimming nowadays with all the athletes and getting folks like Chris Weeks ready for elite competition like we're talking about?
I think it's a booming time.
Yeah.
I think that swimming in Newfoundland and in Canada in general, if you look at our men's team, they've really picked it up.
Yeah.
We had Josh Leando getting a silver medal at the 100 fly. And you look at Ilya Carew, who got a bronze medal in the 100 fly. It just shows you that Canada has the potential.
Yeah.
Be there, and the men's team hasn't been counted out, and I think it's kind of a passing of the torch or the guard or whatever you call it. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at the women's team, Maggie McNeil didn't medal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She was fourth or fifth. I'm not sure. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And you had. In the 100 back, Kylie Moss, 50 back, Kylie Moss didn't medal in her world, where she used to be a world record holder.
Yeah.
You have Penny Alexiak, who did a kind of a morning swim and then didn't swim any of her personal events that she qualified for.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that, and I know it wasn't really a great feeling for Summer McIntosh to anchor that relay where they set her up to get past in the 100 free. That's not her event, and so they're really trying to try different things to mask that kind of changing of the guard for the men's program, and I think the men's program is on their way up. And Chris Weeks, in the next 4 years, just imagine where swimmers like him are going to go and accomplish.
So your eyes are on LA, Chris?
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah, it's the goal. Is there pressure I've never been an elite athlete. What's the pressure like for training and competing while also going through university and just and all of that?
Well, every competition you go to, there's really pressure, no matter how big it is. I mean, when you train all year for something and you show up, I mean, the suspense is like nothing else, and your potential is at your peak, and it's really all down to that one race, to make or break, and the pressure. I mean, it's like nothing I've ever felt, honestly.
Huh. So do you like the pressure? Because like some folks really excel when it comes to pressure, and others not so much.
Yeah, I think the pressure, brings out my best.
Yeah. You're just back from nationals, right? How'd you do?
I did pretty good. I went 2 best times. I got a gold medal in my 50 butterfly. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And I got 2 silver medals in the 100 freestyle and the 50 freestyle.
How much time do you spend in the pool? Like in the run of a week, like how much, so like to do this, how much training are you doing in the run of a week?
I would say probably like close to 18 hours.
18 hours in the water?
I would say per week.
Per week. That's a lot.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's weight training and stuff like that. So I'd say another 3 or 4 hours.
Plus, then you're going through MUN at the same time, doing your studies and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So, watching these Olympics, what's been standing out for you as someone who's got his eyes on LA? What are you thinking as you're watching the team, the swimmers, or anything else with the Olympics this time?
Well, I'd like to make the relay spot for the 4x100 freestyle.
Yeah,
and come top 4 at trials so I can secure a spot on that team.
That would be really cool. Before the show started, because I'm always whenever I have athletes or anyone in who does like when there's a lot of training and it's nice for folks to kind of understand asking these questions of how much time you spend in the pool. The other question I had was food. Like how many calories are you packing in the run of a day when you're training and when you're performing or competing, I should say?
I would say in between 3,000, 4,000, I guess 4,000 on a high day.
So elite athlete looking at LA for the Olympics, just did gold, silver at the nationals for swimming, 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day. When I say 4,000 calories, what is that in terms of food?
Steak, eggs, and bacon for breakfast.
That sounds pretty good. I'm with you on that.
Yep. And oatmeal for lunch and something like a pasta or mac and cheese for supper.
Yeah.
Snacks throughout the day and stuff like that.
Snacking all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the snacks?
Rice Krispie Squares, protein bars, protein shakes, milk, chocolate milk.
Yeah. And this is what you're eating, and we were talking again before the show started. I was looking at Michael Phelps back when he was competing, and it was somewhere between 10 and 12,000 calories a day back when he was just winning like literally every medal I think you could possibly win. Which just for what you're laying out there for food wise, I'm just kind of thinking like, oh my, like all the guy was probably doing outside of the pool was eating, right, when he was not swimming,
right? Which
is like a lot. Paula, when you're hearing this around training now, hours in the pool, how does it compare to back when you were training and hours and everything else?
I think it's fairly similar. Like we would have 2 hours in the morning in the pool, and we'd have 2.5 in the afternoon, and that would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday were weight days, so we did probably about half hour, 45 minutes weights prior to pool. And then Tuesday, Thursday those were the intense days because no weights. So basically we did a couple of warm-up exercises and into the pool. In terms of, what goes on in the pool then versus now, I think it's very different. We were doing a lot of distance. There were times where we would do 10,000 meters in a day, sometimes in a workout. Like there's one, and Chris would probably identify with this, 100s on a very fast interval. And I know when I talk to the local swimmers, they are all like, what? But yeah, that was a classic set, especially during training camps.
Wow.
Yeah. But I always say that I think I had a coach who was a little bit ahead of his time, because he was really into yoga, stretching. I know, like, now I think there's a lot of psychologists, sports psychologists, dietitians. There's a lot of very specific people that are involved in the training now at that elite level, whereas we didn't have all of that. We had our coach, we had our parents who made home-cooked meals, and that was it, right? And what we did in the pool. So
I don't imagine there'd be much yoga on the scene in Newfoundland in the late 70s.
No,
or 80s, right?
it wasn't. We were over in the Ac Arena doing our yoga, and we were like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And now it's all come around, and everybody wants to do yoga, right? So
it definitely has an advantage of self-reflecting and self-visualization. And I think it's really important for them to be able to project that type of energy and to be centered with themselves.
Yep.
Chris does practice this, not really in a yoga class per se, but with one of his techniques of visualizing his races. And as he actually makes changes in his races, he'll visualize that type of stroke. And I think it's really important, but it goes towards the same aspect of training. Yeah.
You're listening to The Signal. Today we're talking about elite athletes. We're celebrating sports and athleticism. We're talking about the current Olympics this year, Paris 2024 and Paralympics, as well as past ones. On the line now, we've got Frank Humber, played in the 87 Pan Am Games, the 88 Olympics in Seoul, plus pro ball for 2 years with the Los Angeles Dodgers. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing very well, thanks.
Man, thanks for coming on the show. What does the Olympics excitement mean to you when they roll around? Do you still watch them, or is it just something that was something that you did in your past and you've moved on from?
Oh, no, I absolutely enjoy getting up in the morning and watching a couple hours of Olympics, seeing what's on the go with the Canadian athletes, and just in general, watching athletes perform at their best, regardless of the sport. I don't have any particular interest in some of the sports, but when you see people who have, the efforts and the training that they put in, watching them perform at the highest level it's fabulous. I love watching the Olympics.
Yeah, like this year, it's like I didn't know anything about sharpshooting, but there's a couple style points that came out from a South Korean sharpshooter and a Turkish one that all of a sudden I'm just like paying attention to, which I never ever thought I would. But you're right, like each Olympics stuff will come up, and you're like, well, that's really interesting. I didn't know about that.
Exactly.
Tell us about 88. What was it like to get selected for 88 and go to Seoul?
Oh, all the traditional great feelings around representing your country, just putting the Canada across your chest and going out and doing the best you can for your country. It was a fabulous time. It was a bit of a paradox for me and for the Canadian team, of course. One of the things, unfortunately, that continues to stick out in my mind when I think of my 88 experience was Ben Johnson, and the scandal around his doping and the steroid use. So every time I think of the Olympics, I think about it from the perspective of my personally. I think I performed fairly well. I did okay. It was a jumping off point for the rest of my career, but the impact that Ben Johnson had on the country at that time was real palpable. And being there, we went from being the proudest athletes in the Olympic Village to not really wanting to wear our Canadian equipment and garb around the village. It was incredible to be there and to live through that. Yeah.
I remember. Well, I was 8 watching it. I remember watching it, and then as an adult living in South Korea, I went into that Olympic stadium, and that it was still. I could picture the race, looking on the track. It was wild just to be there all those years later and still get those feelings and thoughts of that storyline, because as a kid especially, that was the one that stuck with me over the years because I was 8. So if I was going to remember anything, it was probably going to be the biggest, the biggest news story. So
sure.
That's one that does stand out for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We were fortunate enough to get tickets to that race. So there was a group of us Canadian athletes that were right there on the start line, So watching them win, like I indicated earlier, just so the feeling of pride that we had for him and for Canada was incredible. And then, we went from the penthouse to the doghouse in 24 hours. And I, as an administrator in a school, I tell kids that when we're going to a tournament or something, guys, the impact that you can have on your school, and not just yourself as an athlete, but on the whole school and the name of the school, obviously on a much smaller level. But it's real. It's real. Yeah. The impact that one person can have around their behavior is certainly significant.
Before I let you go, thoughts on 1 year out from the Canada Games back here?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to being a part of that, part of the chef team. We've got a great group of mission staff, I think, assembled, and I'm really looking forward to that. Exciting time. St. John's won't know what hit it. St. John's and the Avalon, the area, the sports, I'd encourage people to get out and volunteer for sure, and if you're not going to volunteer, get out and watch some of the events, because you'll see the best that Canada has to offer, and you'll also see athletes performing at the Canada Games in St. John's that will probably be representing Canada in the next couple of Olympics. So it's a great opportunity to see the best.
Frank Humber, thanks so much for this.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Frank Humber there back in '88, right, playing ball. You're listening to The Signal. I'm Adam Walsh. Today on the show, we're talking about elite training, athletic aspirations, trips down memory lane. It's all around the Olympics, the Paralympics, other high levels of performance. Here with me in the studio, we've got Chris Roberts. He's the Memorial University Seahawks head coach, plus Mount Pearl. Chris Weeks, swimmer / student, and Paula Kelly, local swimmer, legendary local swimmer with records that still stand a few years later.
Yeah.
Thoughts about what we were just hearing? You watched, I remember '88. You were do you remember watching '88?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, don't ask me exactly what happened in '88, but I do remember watching, and I do remember the whole Ben Johnson
the
scandal.
storyline.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Chris, I was going to ask you. You've got I want to ask you about your former roommate,
Simon Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell that story.
Well, after you go through university and as a swimmer, I always liked running. My dad ran the Boston Marathon, and I was always interested in running. I ran as a kid, and my dad used to run the local YMCA. So I was always in these 5K and 10K races. I actually was in a race where they had it where it was started at 5, 6 o'clock at night, and it started in a park, and then it turned dark. And I was out in front, as a 12, 13-year-old kid trying to run a 6 or 8K or whatever it was. I hit a telephone pole, right? Boom. Right smack. So I'll always remember that growing up as a kid. But anyway, growing up, I always... Our family had athletics going on.
Yeah.
Our family was always in a high level athlete, but I went into triathlon after swimming.
Yeah.
And I made the junior national team. My parents drove from Truro to Welling to try out for the national triathlon team. And along the way, I've had some very strong mentors through the triathlon scene in Nova Scotia. Halifax has had some fantastic Ironman people that really went in, that mentored me growing up. So in Welling, I got a flat in the age group national race. So I was out of the race in triathlon back then. And it ruins your whole race.
So flat tire, obviously, you can't flat tire triathlon. Right. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right, you're out. So Barry Shepley, the national team coach, came over to me because he saw my swim time and he knew that I was up in second place on the junior national race and offered me the same day.
Yeah.
I've already done the race. I've already done the 1,500. I've already done 20K of the bike.
Yeah.
Got a flat. all the day coming back, but the elite race was the day after. So, the afternoon. In the afternoon, I was in the morning.
Yeah.
So I had 4 hours to recover from that event. I could fix my flat tire, and he offered me a spot in the elite race.
Wow.
So I'm up against Mark Bates, Paul White, a lot of top triathletes that were killing it at the time, and it was a very sort of new energy going on in triathlon at that time.
Yeah.
Simon Whitfield was in the race. So we started. It was a no wetsuit swim. I can swim like a fish. Yeah. I came out second and was in the lead pack, and it was draft legal. The junior race at that time wasn't draft legal, so you're on your own. So you can go drafting where you can draft behind somebody else, where you're saving energy in a line, in a group.
Yeah.
Usually you have to be 4 meters behind, so you're pushing your own wind. So it was really inspiring that I placed really well in that race. I came off. I can't run as fast as everybody else, but anyway, I was given a spot.
You did really well. Yeah.
I was given a spot on the junior team.
Yeah.
So after that, I went to junior nationals, did very well, and then I was offered a spot to go and train with the national team in Australia. Now, Simon Whitfield, if you don't know, has dual citizenship between Australia and Canada. So he competed for Australia, but he had ties in Australia. So there was ITUs going on where the International Triathlon Union would be all the way through Australia and Europe. And I got the opportunity to go and compete and stay with Simon Whitfield in a little town called Byron Bay.
Wow.
And we stayed there and trained for a year and a half before the Olympics. Unfortunately, I didn't make the Olympics. There was 3 other guys that were very strong. I could never run as fast as Simon. I mean, unless you run a 29-minute 10K,
that's pretty fast.
You're not going to have a chance to make the Olympics on that team. And the fastest I think I ran was like 36. So, but I gave it a shot, you know. And I was there and triathlon at that time was a demonstration sport. Yeah. So it was the first time triathlon was introduced to the world on a big stage.
At the Sydney Olympics.
In Sydney. And Simon Whitfield won that race.
I remember watching that on TV.
That I trained with for the last year came across that line first, and it was amazing for Triathlon Canada.
Yeah. Well, and for you to be that close to him, that's awesome.
It was awesome. And you know, you don't know that you're learning every day.
Yeah.
But you're learning every day. And I've learned so much of how to live, how to experience that athlete that you want to be at the highest level.
And to be at that level and now to inform you in your coaching, right, for the 40 athletes that you're coaching, whether in Mount Pearl or with Memorial, and with one of them here with us now, you know what I mean? All of that plays a part in the building blocks of yourself and then also the athletes to follow.
100%. And if you don't think that a coach learns from each athlete that they coach, and at whatever level, you learn every day.
Yeah.
And what you have to do is you have to listen. And what I find is with Chris, he's very knowledgeable, and it's a team effort. And I think that's when you're looking at coaching high athletes, it's a team effort. It takes a team around you.
Let's go back to the phones now. We've got Joanne McDonald on the line. Joanne is Wheelchair Basketball Canada Hall of Famer, Sport NL Hall of Famer, Officer of the Order of Canada, Paralympian 76, 80, 84. Joanne, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Good afternoon to you and your guests.
Thanks for coming on the show. Same question. Like when the games roll around, whether it's winter or summer, what's that like for you? Are you still like tuning in each time, or are you a fan of them now?
I am there in front of that TV, and when I'm not recording, I don't want to miss anything at all. But before going any further, I'd like to give out a big shout out to the athletes who are representing Canada at the Olympics. All of them are doing exceptionally well, whether they win or don't. They're representing our country really well.
Thanks for that, Joanne. And what stand-up moments so far for what you've been watching? What's really stuck with you?
I think the women's soccer team. I think that they really stand out for me. What they were able to do on the field, given what they were dealing with off the field, I thought they were absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, no, they showed a lot of guts, eh?
They really did. Yeah, absolutely. We should all be proud of their efforts.
What are your memories then from, what was it like 76, that first time for you to go to the Paralympics? And was it Toronto in 76?
It was Toronto in 76, and I competed in athletics and won a silver in what we call slalom at the time. So that was my very first Paralympics, and it was quite a feeling. But I also competed at the Pan American Games in 1975 in Mexico, and I don't think there can be any greater feeling than sitting there having won a gold medal and having the Canadian flag go up and the anthem being played. I think that's just, I think that's unbeatable as an athlete to achieve that or to feel it.
Oh yeah, no, I've just watching like from the Djokovic with tennis and how excited he was, and just if you look at the video of him and what he had to say after, a guy who's won everything in tennis and then just was so emotional over winning, the country win. It was quite something.
Yeah, it's really unique when I look back in terms of how our sport. Those of us involved in wheelchair sports has evolved over the years, because when I first became involved in track, and the training that I did was fairly minimal because we didn't have any coaching. We didn't really know a lot about the equipment and those kinds of things, and evolved into videotaping and doing all kinds of dietary things and skill techniques, and it really evolved to a point now in Canada, and we've got some of the best Paralympians in the world, and the equipment that athletes are using is just mind-blowing in comparison to what we were using when we first competed. And to be completely honest, I think my very first competition at a national event, I competed in a hospital wheelchair.
Wow. Right.
That goes back. Yeah.
What's it feel like to be part of the Paralympic legacy and to see where things are now compared to that hospital wheelchair that you competed in back in the day?
Yeah, it's you never really think about it at the time when you're competing and when you're achieving what you set out to do. And but as I look back now, I'm really proud of our Paralympian movement. Really, not just me, obviously, but the movement itself, because it has grown so much. And to now to be able to even call ourselves Paralympians, because we weren't at the very beginning of this. We weren't really considered Paralympians, and even to be now having Olympics and Paralympians being said at the same time, that's quite an accomplishment for the whole movement itself. So that's a good thing to see.
Joanne, thanks for coming back on the show. It's always great to touch base.
Yes, and a big hello to your guest there as well. Take care.
Thanks, bye. Joanne McDonald there, former Paralympian, right? 76, 1980, and 1984. I want to go back to one of my guests here in studio, Chris Weeks. You're not swimming this week?
No, it's probably my first week off in 3 years.
What's that like, your first week off in 3 years when you're swimming all the time?
It's quite strange, to be honest. I wake up in the morning and I think wow, I have all day to do not swimming. I mean,
yeah.
I go to sleep in the night and I don't have to set an early alarm. And
what time is an early alarm that you normally set?
Be honest. Be honest, Chris.
5:30.
5:30.
Practice at 6 o'clock. 5:30 alarm. So I'm pretty quick.
Do you sleep at the pool? How close do you live to this thing? To 5:30 alarm to be at practice for 6?
Yeah, I mean, wake up, put on clothes, and drive immediately is pretty much the routine.
Yeah.
I like sleeping, so.
Hey, who doesn't, right? Especially if you're always in the pool. So then, with this free schedule, so you don't really know what to be doing. What kinds of things have you done in your time off? Is it just kind of relaxing, riding around on your bike, or what?
Yeah, riding around on my bike, staying up late here and there. I mean, pretty much the whole time, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Seeing my friends, playing a lot of video games, seeing my girlfriend.
Yeah, normal, regular, just relaxing stuff. So then after this week, when do things start to ramp up again for your training schedule? I'm looking at your coach.
One more week, he's saying.
You get one more week to relax, and then coach, what does it mean? So after a couple weeks of just downtime after the Nationals, when do things kick up into high gear again for Chris here?
Yeah. Coach is on vacation as well.
Okay, so, good. Well, thanks for coming on vacation.
But no, we're going to ramp it up in another week. Season starts September 1st. We get into full schedule on September 1st. So we sort of taper them until that point. It's really important for these guys to be teenagers.
Yeah.
And for not to really push them, too hard, and to give them the freedom to live their lives, right? And I think that's a really important aspect for high performance athletes, is to let them be who they want to be, let them do what they want to do. They know what's important in life, and he knows when he needs to get going, and this is a time to enjoy it and to reflect and to really enjoy Newfoundland summers. It's amazing here. And so I really encourage my athletes to take that time, and because it gets tough during the winter time and those long seasons. And this is the most beautiful time of the year in Newfoundland. So why push them through it and let them be where they were born, and to enjoy where they were born and where they're from, because we just travel around so much.
Yeah, just come back, enjoy that little sweet spot of summer. And I mean, summer's over on Wednesday for in a town, right? Because regatta day.
Don't say that.
Everyone's always sure it's over after regatta day.
It is, that's right. Yeah.
You were going to say?
Just about, Chris, what you're saying, take the time to enjoy things, because it's so important. And when you look at the ages now of these higher end swimmers, they're in their 20s. Some of them are married. They're having kids. And they're still performing. So, Chris Weeks, you have a lot of time.
Of course.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself. You still have another 4 years.
That's right.
And that's what, because I think in my day, the athletes were peaking at a much younger age compared to what they are now. Yeah.
As things change. Let's go, but we've got one more guest to get to on the phones. Katerina Roxon is on the line. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. And how are you?
Good. So where are you to? Quebec, is it?
Yes, I'm in Quebec City, actually.
Oh, Quebec City. Now, how when do you leave for Paris, first of all?
So, actually, this is my last week in Quebec City. I'm actually making a quick trip home just for the weekend. So I'm coming home to Newfoundland, Labrador this Friday. So I'm actually really looking forward to being home. I'm home for the weekend, and then we fly out to France on Tuesday.
Right. How are you feeling? How's everything going with the prep for Paris?
I mean, 2 weeks ago we got our swim gear. Today I'm getting our Lululemon gear. So as things are slowly progressing, and thinking this is my last week in Quebec. I've been here for over 6 months now. I'm definitely starting to get excited, but I'm also getting a little nervous.
You're a veteran. This is what I'm doing the math here. Is this your 5th Paralympics?
This is my 5th Games. Yes.
So that in itself is an amazing account. Congrats on that. Your 5th Paralympics, but you're still getting nervous.
You know what? You gotta put it in perspective and think about this. It only happens once every 4 years. Yes, I've been doing this for over 20 years now, but it's what you've put, all the hard work, all your sweat, all the tears, all the good moments, all the bad moments. Every lesson you've learned is going down to this one competition. And it's sometimes you definitely feel the pressure, but I'm trying to keep it in perspective and just, enjoy myself, enjoy the process, enjoy the moment, and just always have fun with it. So,
do you find yourself as someone who's this is going to be your 5th one now, for the newbies, the ones who are just kind of getting into it? Are you being more of a mentor? Is there advice? Are they asking you for advice? What's that dynamic like compared to back when you first started with Beijing in 2008?
So definitely when I was a youngster in Beijing, like I was the baby of the team, I was so in awe of all the vets, whether it was swimming, whether it was track, whatever it was, and I was just standing back kind of, oh my gosh, this is my life. This is what a privilege this is. So, I mean, over the years, I've learned so many lessons over that time, and I think I've definitely helped a lot of the new ones on the way. I know I've made amazing connections, and I know being the new person on the team, it's not always that exciting kind of thing. You get more nervous just being a part of the team because it's your first time. So, I mean, I try and be as best as I can, super friendly and super inviting to all of our new people, whether it's the World Championships last year, whether it's Paralympic Games this year. This year, so far, we only got to meet everybody at trials. So I haven't really had that interaction with everybody yet. We do have a lot of new swimmers on the team, which is very, very exciting. They kind of just came out of nowhere and shocked us all, which is a good thing. But so, I mean, we have a camp that we're going to do in Vichy, France. So we're going to be there for 10 days. So that's when we're going to really kind of integrate and see everybody, meet everybody, and, you know, just make sure everyone's included, make sure everyone feels like they're part of the Paralympic Games team. So, I mean, that's kind of where we get to do all the mingling.
Well, good luck with the mingling, getting everyone meeting, you know, kind of getting that knitting together for all the athletes. Good luck in Paris. Thanks for taking time out of your sched to come on this show, and just the best of luck to you for number 5.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate all the love and all the support. So thank you.
All right, Katarina Roxon there, heading for Paris 2024, her 5th Paralympics. That's a lot.
Amazing.
It's so good.
Yep.
5. I mean, that's just, I don't know.
It's incredible.
It is.
It really is.
An amazing person.
She really is. And you've seen the graduation of a younger Paralympian to being a leader of the Canadian team, to be the person that Swim Canada showcases, Bell Canada showcases. And it's just kudos to her for continuing with her success, and all of the positive energy around that program has been very inspiring.
And wanting to get everyone together and include the newbies, because I remember when we traveled that summer in 1980, I was very young, very new, didn't know anybody, felt I was very homesick, and, you know, all these veterans who were swimming knew each other, so it can be very lonely. So I think it's really important that she's identified that, and that's a huge need.
And Chris Weeks, what's it like for other swimmers for your level, right? So for the amount of time you've been involved with it, you get some younger folks coming in, like, and when you either get mentorship or some of the mentorship that you might be doing yourself?
Well, when I was swimming back on the Marlins, you know, every year new and old people would be added or removed from the group, and you know, I think we're very welcoming into our group and very friendly.
Yeah, it's important, right? Like, you get new people in just feeling like they can belong and that they can be part of a team or whatever, especially when they're, you know, like brand new into something. Yeah, it's, I don't know, I find with sports a lot of times, like even just someone, you know, amateur sports or whatever, myself growing up, like having mentors and leaders and feeling like you belong somewhere, I mean, it's so important.
So important.
I think it's absolutely critical, because Chris's best friends all swim in the same lane as him every single day. Yeah. They joke around. They have this camaraderie. They go to the cabins. They get on the jet skis together. They spend summers together. They have girlfriends that are in the athletic community that are doing the same type of things. So you want to be able to, as these programs, put these like-minded athletes together and watch them succeed. Yeah. And just feed them with positivity and you know, give them your experiences. Like when I was growing up with swimming, I had such a great experience.
Yeah.
Like traveling around to these competitions against the best athletes that live the same lifestyle you do.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And why I became a coach is because this is what I was born to do. This is what I was born to give to people.
Yeah.
You know, this gift, you know. And, you know, what makes a really good program is not all the meters that you do. Everybody does the same. It's how you deliver it. And if you can deliver it, that 1 in 5 person better than the other person, then you get success. Right?
Paula, thoughts there?
I agree 100%. I mean, I grew up in the day where it was, okay, come on, you can do better, you can do better, you can do better. It's not good enough, not good enough. So that whole positivity and pushing the athlete but staying positive at the same time, it's a real art. So, you know, you don't want to put the athlete down, you want to push them up. What you're doing is good.
What do you think it is about Olympic or Olympic, Paralympic Games stories, sports stories that people always, because even like earlier on in the show, we're talking about every time with the Olympics and Paralympics, there'd be stuff you're like, I didn't know this sport existed. And then you're right into it. Yeah. What is it about them that attracts us so much?
I think it's the passion. It's the passion of the athlete.
Yeah.
You can feel it off them. You can feel it from your TV.
Yeah.
How
the
much
excitement that's
how
around.
How much it means to that person. You want to be a part of it. They draw you in.
Yeah.
The energy that is created by the event.
But you also know what they're going through or have gone through to get there, because we've lived it similarly, right? Even though, I mean, you know, we're probably not following the same diet and all that stuff, but we have lived that life to get to where they are. So, yeah.
Chris, what about you when you watch? Was it like that interest? Like, because obviously there's the swimming side that's what you're into, right? So of course you're going to like it. But is there anything else that kind of really attracts you to these Olympic stories?
Well, I do know how hard it is to become an Olympian.
You got a good idea, yeah.
And I mean, watching some of these athletes is just it's mind blowing, really, how much dedication they have and consistency, really. Because if you look at some of the athletes that have been to multiple Olympics, they've been consistent for at least 4 years. Really, some of them take a little break, but really it takes consistency across years to re-qualify for multiple Olympic games and. Even just qualifying for one is just insane. And
like it is just it is just such a special thing. And with all the hours that you've talked about for just yourself, right, that you put in, but then when you think of all the other athletes for all the other sports and everything that, like the sacrifice that they put into it, the family and friend support, the community support around it, all of that into watching for these moments. And sometimes you're watching, like we're watching, I mean, the Olympics are on the screen here in the studio now. You can watch them, and some people just like all that, and then they still just miss.
Yeah.
But others don't.
That's right. And that's the thing. It comes down to like one, as Chris was saying earlier, one race, one moment in time, and that's it. Anything can go.
I mean, just
go wrong, could go right. Sorry.
No, just with Chris this past nationals, we got a gold medal in the 50 fly, the 100 free, 3/100ths of a second. We lost the 100 free from a gold medal. That's 3/100. So you train every single day. And what is going to make the difference for that 3/100ths? How can we get better than that person that beat us with 3/100ths? And it just takes dedication every day, being on your game every single day and being motivated and happy.
Yeah. We've got like 20 seconds left. Any final thoughts in 20 seconds, Paula?
I'd say enjoy what you're doing, like Summer McIntosh said, and do what you enjoy. And, as you get older, life goes on, and you take lots of learning from your years in sport. I know I did, for sure.
Paula Kelly, Chris Weeks, Chris Roberts, thank you for coming in for this sports discussion on the Olympics. I gotta, it's 5:02 or 5:25 after most of Labrador. We're leaving early because it's time for a Paris 2024 update. So let's hear the latest from Paris. Tomorrow it's gardening. Dan Rubin will be here. Get in touch with us with your grow questions. Thanks, folks.